Hey there, my name is Drew Brashler, and in this video, I want to show you how to insert an effect on the Yamaha DM3 with your computer. Now, if you're brand new to my channel, I'm all about helping you feel more confident with your production gear no matter where you're starting from. Now, if you are looking for some more audio tips and tricks, I have a weekly newsletter that I send out over at audiotoolkit.co that you can sign up for free and get my favorite tips and tricks into your inbox every week. So go over to audiotoolkit.co to check that out. But let's go ahead and dive in and see how we can insert an effect from our computer onto a channel on the DM3. Now, with the brand new version 3 firmware, we are able to insert an effect onto a channel. So we're able to insert a path via USB or Dante or really anything that you want, but we can insert a path of audio, and that path of audio is going to be going to my computer into Yamaha VST Rack. And that is the software that Yamaha has that we can actually insert a VST plugin onto our audio and put that into the path of our microphone. So I have a wired 57 here, so check 1 2, check 1 2. We can hear that, and if I go ahead and turn that down, we can hear that go away. Now, I have this channel on my DM3, and I am wanting to insert an effect on this. And so the things that we need to do is we need to first attach our computer to the DM3. And I am doing that via a USB cable on the back of the mixer into my computer. And I went ahead and pulled up VST Rack 2 here. Now, once we have that, there's a few things that we need to set. First, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into Settings and Preferences and USB and make sure that I am on Mode 1. I found that this is going to be the best mode for interfacing with a Mac computer, in this case, my MacBook Air that I have. So Mode 1 is going to give us 18 inputs and 18 outputs available to us on our USB cable. Now, if you do change your mode on your DM3, it will require you to restart your console. So just keep that in mind. So do this during setup, obviously. Now, on my computer, I have VST Rack 2 pulled up here, and I'm going to go to Hardware, and I'm going to select Yamaha DM3 under Audio Device. And this is going to allow me to then use my DM3 as my audio device for VST Rack. Now, the other thing I'm going to do is go into Setup. Now, in Setup, we can see our input and output latency here. Now, this is all based on what your buffer size is set to. Now, in my control panel here, I can change my buffer size. Now, if we go to a smaller buffer, say 64, we are going to take this input latency and change it down to about 5 milliseconds. Now, if we change this all the way up to 1024, this is going to give us about 24 milliseconds. So if you're using this in a broadcast situation where you are pairing up your output of your DM3 along to video, then having a longer buffer size is fine because audio is typically ahead of video. Video is a little bit more latent as it goes through all of its processing. Now, if you're using this live with maybe a monitor situation, then you need to be using the shortest buffer possible. Now, when you are using the shorter buffers, it is going to require a little bit more CPU processing power. So if I set this to 32, we will notice that my peak and average of my computer is going to be going pretty high. So we can see that my average is right here, and the peak is hovering around this 25% mark. Now, if I go to my control panel and set this to 1020 or 128 rather, it's going to have a lower average and a lower peak on the processing power, as we can see. So in this case, I'm going to leave it at 128 because I'm also doing a screen recording on this computer. But once we have that, we can go to our main, and this pulls up our rack. Now, this gives us the ability of having 16 different racks in our VST Rack 2 here. Now, if we want to, we can go create a new project and have more than just 16 racks, but in my case, I just need my 16 racks. Now, on my DM3, I am wanting to insert my effect rack 1 on my microphone 1, so on this channel right here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to tap up into this section right here. And now this is going to pull up our insert menu. Now I can go ahead and click here, and then I can go find where I want to have this insert on. So I can choose between USB and Dante. So these are my 2 available audio paths for inserting on a channel on the DM3. So in my case, I'm going to go ahead and pick USB 1, and it's going to ask if I want to change the already patched USB, and I'm going to say yes. And we can X out. And then the next thing that we need to do is we need to pull our insert in, which is also going to be USB 1, because I am putting it into rack 1, and that insert is going to be pulling from USB 1 and outputting on USB 1 as well. So we will select insert 1 there. So we can see that on this, it is going to my insert out here on USB 1. It's going to my computer, being processed by VST Rack and pulled back into my console on USB 1. Now, if I go over here and we insert something, for instance, the PSE, we can go ahead and start seeing some audio here. Check 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. And maybe we want to put in another processing, like the F6. Check 1, 2, check 1, 2, check 1, 2. Now, notice that we're not hearing any of this EQ change. And that's because there's one more step on the DM3 that we need to do before we actually insert this. And that is clicking the insert button, which is right here. Now, if we're on the home menu of the screen, we can see that the insert is right here. So at this point, check 1, 2, check 1, 2, we can see that as I'm adjusting this, we are hearing that happen. So here we go. Check 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, this is the quickest way of inserting an effect on a single channel. Now, in a corporate situation, I'd be using a PSE and an F6, and maybe the WNS if I'm in a little bit more noisy of a room, to be able to bring some of that noise down and make it a lot more direct of a sound for the audience to hear. Now, if I'm actually using my DM3 and I'm planning on streaming, so in my case, I have my output, and on my matrix 1 and 2, I have my record left, right. Now, say that this record is actually going to the web, and I'm wanting to insert a limiter to bring the loudness of this stream up. Well, let's do that. So I'm going to go to my VST rack here, and I am going to take my rack 15 and 16, and I'm going to right-click on rack 15, and I'm going to press pair. Now that's going to go ahead and pair it with 16. Now we can see that I have my input 15 and 16 here, and output 15 and 16 on my DM3. So I'm going to pull up my matrix 1, go to insert, and I'm going to pull up my USB 15 and my USB 16. And then on my return path, 15 and 16. So as we can see here, I have an insert path going from my console to USB 15 and 16 to my computer here, and then back into my console. And if I pick up my microphone here, we can see that I have audio here. Now, if I want to, I can go ahead and apply a Waves L2. And I'm going to pick a stereo L2 because I am wanting this to be stereo. And so in this case, check 1, 2, check 1, 2. As I'm talking into this microphone, I have the full ability to be able to maximize as much volume as I want to. So we can see that my insert out is down in the negative 24 dBFS range, and then my return is sitting up in the 12 to 9 dB range. Now that I have my L2 inserted on my recording, or my streaming bus rather, I'm wanting to put in a WLM Plus, which will allow me to monitor my loudness for my streaming volume. So I'm going to go to my last plugin slot here, just because that's where I like to put it. I'm going to go to Analyzer, and then we can pull up my WLM Plus stereo. And now this is where we can actually monitor our volume coming out of this microphone and this stream set. So we can go ahead and see that my short-term LUFS or LUFS is sitting about -19, -18. And if I was wanting this to be a little bit louder, what I can do is I can apply more L2 limiting, check 1, 2, check 1, 2, or I could go ahead and lower this down to bring myself into a smaller amount of LUFS. So this is an example of inserting on a mono channel or a stereo channel, for instance, with my matrix. Now, if you have any mono channel, you can insert any mono rack. If you have any stereo channel, all we have to do is go into our VST rack and then click on one of these with our right click and then press pair. Now, the great thing about VST rack is I can pair an odd with an even or an even with an odd. So you just go to the first channel that you want to link with and then press pair, and it will pair it with the next rack that we see there. So we can see that my rack 6 and 7 is paired up and my rack 3 and 4 is paired up. Now, I hope this video was helpful for you today. If you do happen to have any questions or there's a video that you're hoping that I would make on the DM3 or really any of the other production equipment that's out there, please post that in the comments section down below, as I'm always reading through those comments to find videos that are going to be helpful for you. If you haven't already, make sure to check out my website at drewbrashler.com. Otherwise, I hope you have a great day.